and the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rattling, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say just that star-spangled banner, yeah, wave for the land under the fray, and the home of the brave.
Don't be afraid, this is a low fat, and you are listening to HonestAnswerRadio.com. Now, where is the egg roll you guys promised me?
The views and opinions expressed on the Honest Answer Radio show are the opinions of Honest Answer Media and no one else. If you're hearing a syndicated broadcast of this show, don't hold it against the broadcaster. Rather, congratulate them on their openness, tolerance, and respect for the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. Thank you very much.
I thank God for my life, for the stars and stripes. May freedom forever fly. Let it ring. Salute the ones who died, the ones that give their lives so we don't have to sacrifice all the things we love. A little chicken fried and cold beer on a Friday night, a pair of jeans that fit just right, and the radio up. I like to see sunrise, see the love in my woman's eyes, feel the touch of my precious child, and know a mother's love.
If you think freedom is free, you better think again. So, get on the bus, ladies. Lock and load. Let's rock and roll.
And welcome one more time to Honest Answer Radio here on HonestAnswerRadio.com, where we're kicking the mainstream media in the teeth every chance we get. If this is your first time listening to us, I'm going to be the Marty half of your dynamic hosting duo.
Hi, everyone. Is it Barack Obama, just the most perfect physical specimen? Oh, wait. Is this Tuesday night?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
not
sorry.
Piers tonight.
I'm sorry. It's Tuesday night. Tonight I will be the Casey half of this show.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Don't you wish I was on that it was me pretending to be Piers Morgan on CNN every night? Number one, I'd have more money in this house.
no, I still couldn't live with it. It ain't worth it, man. It wouldn't even be worth it to fake
Well,
it that
it's true.
much.
You know, I don't even know how to hack a phone.
Well, yeah, would that were the least of his sins. All right. Hey, man, we had a Thanksgiving, and it was awesome, was it not?
Hey, we had you and Tina's little grandchild here for that Thanksgiving holiday, which
Yes,
I
we
could have
did.
done. I'd have rather had that baby than the food. If I had to choose between the two,
Oh, man.
I would have chosen holding that baby over the
I'm
food.
ruined. I'm ruined forever. I mean, wow. It was the first time, like being the pawpaw and everything. Wow, that was awesome. That was awesome. I had something to really, really be thankful for. I hadn't felt that good since, I held like my own son, and that was, wow, just awesome, awesome. But, that good feeling had to go away sooner or later. And, well, I had to turn the news on eventually. Wow.
Yeah.
Dude. We closed our eyes for a few minutes. We took a couple of days off.
Right.
Now, I didn't even want to look at politics over the holiday there.
I tried to avoid it myself.
Yeah, and now I know why. I know why. Getting back to work this week, everything going right back to normal. What a slap in the face. I mean, it's bad enough that we got the Chinese are doing everything in their power to provoke either the United States or an ally of the United States out there in the Pacific over some islands that,
uninhabited islands.
Yeah, but what do you call it? Natural resource rich islands. And China's more or less trying to big boy everybody. They just going over there and taking them. Those islands have been recognized as Japanese territorial islands all along, but the Chinese are like, we like them and we're bigger than you. So anybody come near these, we're going to take it as an act of war. So they're sending their warplanes, we're sending our warplanes. We've got carriers floating around out there.
Speaking of sending the warplanes and all, boy, it wouldn't be right if all we did was slam the Obama administration and the way he's used our military, this whole time. I think the guys on Powerline put it best yesterday. They said even a broken clock, is right.
At least once.
Twice a day.
Yeah, twice a day. There you go.
So,
So what? He's doing the right thing.
He sent B-52 bombers cruising through the very airspace that China was claiming.
Big whoop.
Yeah, but still, was it the right thing to do? I got to say, yeah. Yeah. All
right. So what about the other part of the news where I was hearing that he is having these meetings with Iran to find them a way to enrich, more uranium?
Well, I can't call.
How about this deal that he's worked out with them that more or less says, whatever, you want to do it, do it.
But see, the thing is, we don't really know I'll put it this way. We don't know how bad the deal actually is. We know it's got to be bad because it's John Kerry and Barack Obama teaming up to, and obviously Valerie Jarrett and all the other, cronies around the White House. This is what they want to do. How do you?
Okay. See.
Sorry, I get a little bit at a loss for words because we don't know how bad the deal is because the Obama administration says the deal is one thing. Bibi Netanyahu says, oh, no, that's not it. And Iran sits back and goes, wait, we didn't agree.
We didn't agree to that. Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is those of us who aren't mainlined into some kind of intelligence source, i.e. we don't work for the government or anything, that's about the only people who could probably tell you what's really going on, and even then I would doubt it.
Either way, not feeling very safe. Not feeling very safe at all at the moment.
There was a time when even though we didn't know the specifics of our foreign policy, we as citizens could sit back at home and go, well, I don't think these guys are going to screw it up that bad.
Look, man, I saw an
How
article.
long has it been since you thought that?
I saw an article on the drug report about the Pew report. What do you call it? Pollsters. Got their fingers on the pulse of America. Blah blah blah. All right, they had this study that said for the first time in 40 years, the average Joe America is saying, you know what, we really need to just stay out of everything if this is the way we're going to be handling foreign affairs, maybe we just need to stay home and tend to our own knitting. For the first time in 40 years. Now, there's a whole bunch of progressives out there, and you know, I dare say quite a few libertarians. Some of the more hardline libertarians are like, we've been trying to tell you that all along. You know, there's a lot of isolationists in this country that feel like we just need to mind our own business.
The thing is,
but it's been a long time since those people have had a voice.
But those of us who are out there going, this don't sound, you know, the isolationist philosophy doesn't sound so bad. It's not because I'm one of those people right now, and that I'm thinking that's what I feel, is that our government needs to we need to just get everybody home and let's take care of business here on the mainland, or in our 50 states. But it's not because I'm an isolationist. It's because of the people that are going out there that we're sending out.
Right. World wars have been started because of numbnuts like these.
Yeah.
I mean, really and truly. I'm one of those that would be amongst the I wouldn't call it, I'm not an isolationist by any stretch of the imagination, because I do believe there are still cases that would merit U.S. intervention. I'll say that. The piracy thing going up and down the coast, man, those are our shipping interests. Mm-hmm. I do think we need to intervene there. Countries have been fighting piracy for centuries, so that's no big news there. I think we ought to keep that up. This thing with China, you know, Japan is one of our allies, mainly because we got a lot of money invested in Japan, a lot. We can't just let China big boy Japan. Now, this stuff that we've got going on in the Middle East, see, this is where I'm saying, no, we need to stay out of it. And for the same reason that you're worried about.
Because we're only making it worse.
Negotiating these deals, or the people that we've got there, you know, trying to play referee or whatever, they don't know what they're doing. On the other hand, we shouldn't leave our friend Israel hanging out to dry either.
Yeah, and see, actually, hanging them out to dry.
Me.
See, hanging Israel out to dry, it's not a new sport. I mean, let's face it, man. Under Bush, the United States, actually for the last few administrations, the United States has shown a coolness towards Israel, and there is that element that embraces the so-called Palestinians.
But we've got so many of our citizens that have friends and family there.
Yeah.
You know, a great portion of our country has direct ties to the nation of Israel. And, you know, we are their only ally in that they could, you know, truly at one time depend on over there in the region. Man, it's scary to me to know that the majority of this country think we need to just stay here and leave some of our allies hanging out there. That part worries
The
me.
thing is, I think there's a difference between hanging your allies out to dry and then going, oh man, these clowns, the appointees of the clowns that we have elected, they only make it worse. The other side, their folks aren't going to put anybody else, they don't have anybody to put out there to actually have a competent foreign policy. Let's face it, this progressive wing, there's some of y'all that are isolationists, but the bulk of them aren't. Okay? They don't have... name me a progressive right now that you trust to go that you trust to send overseas and actually come back with a good deal for the American people anywhere in the world you care to name, any of the trouble spots you want to name.
Yeah, I can. Yeah. But you know, it all stems from our leadership. You hit the nail on the head with the appointees. Somebody had to appoint them. Who's appointing them? Our president. We are losing great amounts of faith in our presidency. The office these days means, it's like that office means nothing. not because of what they, that they've lost anything. It's that the executive branch of our government has taken too big a bite out of things. It's grown out of its own powers, it seems. Today we had a hearing even on presidential authority. Why are we needing to have a hearing, a congressional hearing?
Not that I'm saying it was a waste of time.
No.
Because if nothing else, I got to hear today, because I watched most of this on C-SPAN. I had to, go put some groceries away, do a few things, but for the most part, I was there for the 3 hours. And
that's
three hours
there.
plus.
You had to sit through a 3-hour congressional hearing.
That means, because even the conservatives that are on the committee, not all of them are particularly good speakers.
No.
Okay. Now, they're all politicians. They're all used to speaking in public. Some of them are just better at it than others. Is all I'm saying. Not that they're incompetent. Not that they didn't.
Need to have a hearing on something like presidential authority and what the president can and can't do.
If there was ever a good time to have that discussion, it would be right now. We should have been having this one a long time ago.
It's a conversation that shouldn't be had, though. It shouldn't be necessary for us to have these kinds of hearings when we've got so much on the backs of the American people that Congress is actually having to take time to try to have a hearing on the executive office because of its overreach, its tyrannical overreach, and the burden that the executive branch is placing on the backs of the American people. Congress shouldn't have to do that. They shouldn't have to play referee between the citizenry and the executive branch.
Well, that actually is their job. Okay. A point was made today in those hearings. I don't remember who made it. They start to blur after a while. But the point was made that this isn't the first time that a president has
overreached.
Yes.
No, George Bush did it. We screamed about that. Bill Clinton did it. Screamed about that.
I can't
President
think of one.
The first George Bush.
Mm-hmm.
He did it.
I wasn't that into politics at that time, so.
Ronald Reagan wasn't necessarily a saint, although if you've got to compare presidents, apples to apples.
I'll take Reagan.
I'll take, one Reagan for 100 Barack Obama.
Oh, please don't tell me there's that many of them.
Well, I hope not. I mean, all presidents after, every one of them after George Washington, after the first one, they all sort of tried to see what they could get away with. And I guess to a certain extent, even old George did. He had his moments too. But that doesn't make it all right. It doesn't make it acceptable. And
two wrongs don't make a right.
None of them, I think. I don't know what president you're talking about there, but I don't think any of them have stretched quite this far.
No,
or that have done so much.
So many
granted,
times.
He did actually. He's living up to one of his campaign promises. To fundamentally transform the United States. And I guess to fundamentally transform the United States, it's going to require some serious overreach on the part of the executive branch. But I don't think any of us were expecting quite this big a bite. But he doesn't just do it himself. I mean, the appointments that he's made, you brought up all of his appointees. Mm-hmm. He's been very crafty about who he's put where. And I'm not talking about the big offices like, putting John Kerry there. I mean, oh gosh, come on. He chose Joe Biden as a vice president. We know he's going to pick some morons to head some pretty big seats. But it's these little places that nobody ever really thinks about. Like Lois Lerner there in the IRS.
I don't think she was an appointee, man. She was a civil service. She's civil service. She's just a government employee. But the thing is, have you heard Chuck Hagel's name mentioned lately?
No, now that you mention it. And he's Secretary of Defense.
China's making all this noise. I mean, the Middle East is what it is and has been for a while.
No,
Secretary of Defense.
That's a good point. Where is he?
He's still going to work and everything, but it's like, Chuck
wait.
who?
Now that just made me. Oh, thanks a lot, dude. Thanks a lot. Chuck Hagel is the Secretary of Defense at a time when China is flexing its muscle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. Well, you can just rock me to sleep tonight.
I tell
But
you.
what about some of his appointees to some of these environmental positions? Like with the EPA. Dude.
Look.
Dude. The EPA.
Mm-hmm.
You telling me he's not getting a whole boatload of his agenda pushed through?
In the regulatory phase?
Yeah.
Well, like the story that you commented on yesterday, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
The lead.
And there's even we talked earlier about this, like having to issue a correction about that story, but
It's not really
no, it's not a correction. It's the article that I put on our website told about the closing of the last lead,
primary lead smelting
lead
facility.
smelting.
I think is probably the best way to
Doe Run.
But look, it's not from. This is from the article from the that was on the Blaze,
Right.
where they broke it down. It doesn't mean that they're still not making lead for ammunition, because the lead that makes bullets is
The majority of
secondary lead. In other words, it is recycled lead. It's recycled from old batteries.
And
Okay.
the Blaze was trying to refute they called it a rumor that, this lead plant was closing down and that it was going to,
It was
make
going to be,
ammunition
in order
go
for
up
them
and
to
all
build
this.
another facility to meet the EPA regulations, the emissions regulations.
Right.
It was they were I think the number I saw them quoted $100 million.
Right, $100 million.
And that factory would be in compliance.
But
today.
$100 million. And see, the Blaze was also trying to point out that, well, this isn't the Obama administration doing this. Because they're trying to refute the backdoor gun control theory by saying that, no, this was enacted a long time ago. Me and Casey also have a history of harping on the EPA for letting their power grow even more.
And getting back, bringing this back to today's little judiciary hearing. All right. Because I believe you have some sound.
I do. And
from that theory. It's all about prosecutorial discretion.
The president picking and choosing who gets prosecuted for what and what part of the law he chooses to execute.
Yeah.
I also have some audio from a gentleman from the Cato Institute who was also testifying at this hearing.
Right. There were 4, for those of you that didn't get to see it and haven't gotten to watch the video, gosh, it was a long one. But there were 4 expert witnesses.
Right.
I cannot remember all their names. I'd get them wrong.
Michael Cannon is the guy
Okay,
from
Michael
the Cato
Cannon,
Institute. There was Mr. Lazarus.
Simon Lazarus.
Well, at any rate, I have Mr. Lazarus, and I have a Professor Turley.
Yeah.
And I have Michael Cannon from the Cato Institute. Now, Michael Cannon, I'll play him last, but he testifies to what he feels or he fears could be the outcome of some of this presidential overreach, if you will. But I've got Trey Gowdy grilling Mr. Lazarus on what he thinks the president can and can't do about, can he just pick and choose what parts of the law he enforces, and can he get involved in the penalty phases and all this kind of stuff. And he's trying to prove a point. And this Lazarus guy, you can really tell that he is there on behalf of the president, and he is not going to in any way speak ill of the president or say anything that could possibly be looked at as, well, if you answer the question this way, then you must disapprove of the way the president's handling this. He doesn't want anybody to think he has anything bad to say about
it. Was
Barack
very
Obama.
difficult to pin that guy down and admit that there are some restrictions on executive authority.
Yeah, see, he just doesn't want to admit that. And just listen to how he dances around with Trey Gowdy. And, we've said this before, too. I would really hate to be sitting in the docket with Trey Gowdy questioning me about anything, man. But here we go. Here's the exchange.
Thank the gentleman from New York. The chair will now recognize himself for 5 minutes of questions. It strikes me that the law can require action or forbid action. The law can forbid the possession of child pornography. The law can, in some instances, require you to file an income tax return. Mr. Lazarus, is the chief executive constitutionally capable of ignoring both categories of law?
Well, as I said several times, Congressman Gowdy, the president cannot refuse to apply or enforce a law for policy reasons.
Well, let's analyze that for a second. Congress decided in its collective wisdom that if you possess X amount of a controlled substance, you are going to get X amount of time in prison. You may like mandatory minimums, you may not like them. This administration summarily dispensed with that law. So my question to you, again, is can the chief executive fail to enforce categories of law that are both permissive and mandatory?
No, it is well established that the executive branch has prosecutorial discretion to decline enforcement.
And what are the limits of that prosecutorial discretion?
Very frankly, I'm not an expert on that.
Well, let me ask you this. Can the president, let's assume that a statute required you to show 2 pieces of identification to purchase a firearm. Can the chief executive knock that down to 1?
I guess I'd have to know a little bit more, but I would...
It's a very simple fact pattern. You have to show 2 forms of ID to possess or purchase a firearm. Can the chief executive, under his pardon authority or his prosecutorial discretion authority, knock that down to just 1 form of identification?
Well, I'm not aware of limits on the president's pardon authority.
So you would say he could?
Under the pardon authority, the president can pardon about anyone, not that he should. No.
Even before the act is committed?
That's the reason for...
Can he do it before the act is committed? That's my question.
I'm sorry?
Can he do it before the act is committed?
That's above my pay grade. I don't really know.
He doesn't even want to admit that the president can't pardon somebody before they commit a crime. That's just common freaking sense, man. I mean, come on. And this little weasel, he won't even admit that. What Trey Gowdy's trying to point out here is, like, take immigration, for example. Can the president look at our immigration law and just decide which part of the law is going to be enforced and which part isn't? And
they bring up the distinction
under the president's discretionary prosecutorial discretion.
Gowdy hit on it, and so did several other people. That prosecutorial discretion is something that's done on a case-by-case basis.
Right.
There's a difference between that, between your say, attorney general going,
we're just not going to prosecute
this guy.
This part of the law.
No, we're not going to charge this guy.
Right.
Okay. There's a difference between that and doing that to a whole, say, classification of people.
Right.
Okay, we're going to exempt, instead of exempting immigrants, which would be just.
We're going to exempt
that at
only
least would be
immigrants
fair.
between this age and this age with this much education, and if they've been here illegally this long.
Exactly.
And if they pay this amount of money. He's trying to say a president can't rewrite a law. It takes, and they even say this later in the clip, it takes an act of Congress
to change a law. That's the legislative branch. Also, the legislative branch is the first branch of government that's mentioned in the Constitution of this United States, man.
Well, and this little putz even says, well, we're a nation of laws. But not according to the executive branch. We're a nation of laws that the executive branch decides which part of the laws we're going to be a nation of. Which part that he decides. What we have here is a dictatorship. Because in a dictatorship, whoever's in the catbird seat, he can just decide, what parts of the law that's going to be enforced and which parts ain't, and he can decide who gets prosecuted and who don't. That's a dictator. But oddly enough, I thought, it's just me here, but I thought we were a republic.
We are.
We're not a dictatorship.
If we can keep it.
If we can keep it. But there's still more of this guy. I guess you can understand. I
knew you would like that clip. I told you today when I right after I posted that, I came in here with Marty and I said, there are several bits of audio that you're going to want out of this one because.
Well, Trey, he can only handle so much of this himself before he finally just says, okay, fine. Well, let me ask somebody else. You don't want to answer this. I understand.
Turley.
Yeah.
That's this guy's last name.
Yeah. He finally just has to go to that guy. And that little exchange was pretty good, too. There's a few little nuggets in here.
Constitutionally, yes.
Do you agree that Congress can pass statutory maximums?
Pardon me?
Can Congress also pass statutory maximums? In other words, you can't get more than 30 years for a crime.
This is still the Lazarus guy.
Can a president exceed a statutory maximum?
Can he extinguish, did you say?
No, can he exceed it?
Can he exceed it? Well, how would he do that? I mean, keep someone in prison beyond his prison term.
Well, if you can put him in prison for less time than Congress says is the law, can you also do it for more time than Congress says is the law?
It's really, it's not. This is kind of fruitless because it's an area that I really don't know.
Professor Turley, what are the limits of prosecutorial discretion? And if the president can suspend immigration laws, marijuana laws, why not election laws?
Well, I think that some of these areas I can't imagine can be justified through prosecutorial discretion. It's not prosecutorial discretion to go into a law and say an entire category of people will no longer be subject to the law. That's a legislative decision. Prosecutorial discretion is a case-by-case decision that is made by the Department of Justice. When the Department of Justice starts to say, we're going to extend that to whole sections of laws, then they are engaging in a legislative act, not an act of prosecutorial discretion. Wherever the line is drawn, it's got to be drawn somewhere from here. It can't include categorical rejections of the application of the law to millions of people.
Well, my time is up, but I would just tell you that I always thought prosecutorial discretion was an individual prosecutor determining whether she or he has enough facts to substantially result in a conviction on a case-by-case basis. If a president is ignoring entire categories of the law, whether it be immigration, marijuana, mandatory minimum, the ACA, what is the remedy for the legislative branch?
Well, first of all, the first part of that question is, as you may know, I do criminal defense work. I would never go to a prosecutor and say, I want your prosecutorial discretion to say that the entire class of which my client belongs cannot be subject to this law, because prosecutors would look at me and say, are you insane? I am not Congress. So I wouldn't even raise the question. Now, in terms of where we go from here, I'm not too sure, because the great concern I have for this body is that it's not only being circumvented, but it is also being denied the ability to enforce its inherent powers. Many of these questions are not close in my view. The president is outside the line. But it has to go in front of a court, and that court has to grant review. And that's where we have the most serious constitutional crisis I view in my lifetime. And that is, this body is becoming less and less relevant.
With that, we would recognize the gentlelady from Texas.
Let me play that last little piece one more time.
Please, crisis I view in my lifetime, and that is, this body is becoming less and less relevant.
You know, that's so much worse than any, congressional approval poll there.
Now, you want to sleep tonight?
Oh God, be careful now.
Think of all this that we heard today on executive overreach,
right,
and the growing irrelevance of our legislature. This thing today, it happened in the House of Representatives.
Right.
Remember, also now that the filibuster for judicial appointees.
Oh yeah.
That we don't have that anymore. So one political party controls the country without any say from the legislative branch. I mean, without any interference from the legislative branch has essentially become the rubber stamp for the monarch. I mean, excuse me. The president.
Wow. I was sitting here thinking not so much like monarchy as like the Democrat Party is becoming like one of those Egyptian dynasties where, they're not necessarily all blood-related family, but they're all part of the same clan, if you will. And that's what we have now. It's not necessarily Barack Obama as dictator so much as it is the Democrats or the progressive dynasty.
Right.
Well, and look, if you read any of their literature at all,
so
from Saul Alinsky to the Communist Manifesto, Karl Marx, all that, if you read all of that, that is pretty much the end game.
But also, we just went past it. So you've got two branches of government in a lockstep mode. You've got the legislative branch and the executive branch marching hand in hand. Well, the thing is, remember, this was judicial appointees.
Right. That sort of takes care of
the branch number 3.
Branch.
They kept throwing out the word tripartite today because, it sounds cool.
Yeah.
That means 3-party for those of us who generally conduct our lives in English.
Notice it rhymes with apartheid.
Yeah. And I mean, look, our 3 branches of government are, well, they're not all completely one party, but
the system of checks and balances in this country is slowly,
honestly, it's a thing,
eroding.
It is a thing of the past. It does not have to be the thing of the future.
No, which brings us to another piece of audio from the Cato Institute. And
what was that fellow's name? Is that Cannon?
Yeah, Michael Cannon is his name. And man, you can see that the guy don't want to bring this out.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I hate to say this, but this is what's going to happen if things don't get back to the way they're supposed to be, as in, abiding by the Constitution, letting the legislative branch handle the laws, lets everybody get back to doing our jobs and our jobs only. This is what's going to happen.
Maybe Mr. Lazarus knows better than I do how many bombs the the president has to drop without congressional authorization before that becomes war. I don't know the actual number. But I think what Mr. King was getting at is, there is one last thing to which the people can resort if the government does not respect the restraints that the Constitution places on the government. Abraham Lincoln talked about our right to alter our government, or a revolutionary right to overthrow it. And that is certainly something that no one wants to contemplate. But as I mentioned in my written and my delivered testimony, if the people come to believe that the government is no longer constrained by the laws, then they will conclude that neither are they. That is why this is a very, very dangerous sort of thing for the president to do, to wantonly ignore the laws, to try to impose obligations on people that the legislature did not approve, etc.
An excellent conclusion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
It's not an excellent conclusion. Sadly, it's an accurate conclusion. If the people of this nation should wake up one morning and realize how irrelevant they have become, I know my fellow Americans. We as a people are not known to remain sitting while we are enslaved. We just won't do it. And this gentleman from the Cato Institute, I would be as reluctant as he, because he is testifying before Congress. This man is trying to warn anyone who will listen.
If King George had governed through law, through existing British law,
that's right,
this would be the largest colony that Britain still owned. I mean, because
we would still be part of the monarchy.
Yeah,
but
because
what went on in Europe
the rebellion
or in England did not necessarily apply
over here.
Colonies.
See, if you read the Declaration of Independence, not a long document, not that stinking long. Okay, they laid out, our founding fathers laid out exactly why it was, and it was all because Britain was essentially breaking its own laws, number one, and number two, the voice of the colonists wasn't being heard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was one of those the founding seminal moments in the creation of this country was that Declaration of Independence, and those reasons laid out were exactly why the government that we have exists.
It's a scary thing to contemplate, man. And I think a lot of people are intentionally living in ignorant bliss and or a state of denial about exactly what is happening here, which brings us to our final piece of audio. I was looking around, went to Breitbart, looking over on Real Clear Politics. It was on. I was looking at the Drudge Report, and I keep seeing this same clip, being offered over and over again. And it's a clip from CNN where one of their, guest, analysts or whatever, his name is L.Z. Granderson. And they're talking to him about, the American people now, they don't trust the president. They don't believe a word that's coming out of his mouth. How can this possibly, what can he do to make things right? And this Granderson guy, when Tina and I were sitting here watching it, and I'm listening to this guy, he wasn't just carrying the water for the president. He was willing to walk the president down on his back and carry him to the water and scoop it up for the man to drink so he didn't have to bend over. And yeah, look,
I know this clip you're talking about.
And you know what, this part right here,
he mixed up the Kool-Aid for everybody.
Man, oh my God. And the sad part is the reason this guy is carrying it for the man. To me, I'm sorry, it's just blatant racism. Blatant racism. Because this guy, I've heard him speak a few times, and he's a bigot. I mean, he is a bigot. He do not like white people at all. And he's not shy about that. And he thinks that everybody that disagrees with the president is a racist. But this man is carrying the water for the president based on the color of his skin. Period. Period. I don't even think he can believe half the stuff.
Now wait, is this an American, regular, normal American period you say, or this is an Obama period, which don't mean the same thing?
No, I'm talking about a regular period. This is like a regular American period. Just listen at this, man. Oh my goodness.
Let's talk about the trust issue here, because the latest CNN ORC poll reveals that a majority of Americans now say President Obama is not trustworthy. 46% say that he can be trusted. So obviously it's a problem when a majority of the Americans believe their president can't be trusted. And most people say it's a direct result of his broken pledge, the pledge we all heard, that people who like their doctor or their insurance plan can keep them. Now, here's how conservative columnist Peggy Noonan put it this morning on ABC. Take a listen.
The American people look at the president and they think, he's no dummy. He's a really smart guy. And because he's a smart guy, they think, well, it means he deliberately misled us to get his program through. People don't like that. That is another reputation changer, and I think that's problematic for the president going forward.
So, LZ, is Peggy Noonan right?
You know, Peggy Noonan has made a living scrubbing clean President Reagan's administration and all the atrocities that it's committed. So with that being said, I don't think that history is... Well, what I'm saying is that she's pretending as if once an error has happened, that it's forever going to trail a president. And that just isn't true, and she's living proof of that with scrubbing clean President Reagan's administration. Now, with President Obama, it is true. He should have been more forthright with how the Affordable Care Act was going to impact the country. But with that being said, all Americans know politicians lie. The question is, which lies can you live with? And time again, Americans have said we can deal with the lies that President Obama tells us because we believe in his heart he has the best interest for the American people. Every president is going to lie to you. Every politician is going to lie to you. The question is, which lies can you live with?
I think it's really sad that we're sitting here having this debate, and you're at least you're willing to admit the president lied to the American people. The problem is he lied to the American people. Let me finish. He lied to the American people to sell them his signature plan, and he lied to them about something that was personal. This is not about read my lips, no new taxes. This is you can keep your doctor if you like your doctor. You can keep your plan if you like your plan. When it comes to health care, you're the ones that sold the American people on this issue of it is important. It is a trust issue. This is something that is incredibly important to seniors, and we're not going to mess with your system if you like it. And the president lied to people, and he's smart enough, and people know he's smart, and they know he lied to them. And I think this is one of those unforgivable lies when you tell someone they can keep their doctor, and you knew you were lying to them, and now they can't.
Yeah. I'm a little man there.
It's personal.
To say that, well, it's okay if he lied. Everybody knows that the president's lying to us, but he's got America's best interest at heart. In his heart, he thinks he's doing the right thing. So it's all right if he has to lie to the Americans to push through, one of his laws that's going to do harm to the American people. Well, then that's okay then, because, look, it's Barack Obama.
Because he meant well.
Yeah, he means well. He's lying for your own good. Because you don't want to know the truth about the stuff. Man, all of them lie. Well, you might as well just accept it. Are you serious, man? Is he serious? Look, was Ashton Kutcher and I didn't get to see all of the interview, and I'm just wondering if Ashton jumped out, at some point in that little back and forth there and went, I got y'all. America, you've been punked.
I wish.
No.
I wish. But no, that dude is straight up. That's what he thinks. Now, and he's not alone. There's others out there just like...
I hear our low information voter out there all the time saying, well, they all lie. Why should we even bother with it? I mean, God, they're all going to lie to you. Oh, well, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that. We should just accept they're all going to lie to us and let them do whatever they want.
People are still mad at George Bush because they thought he lied to them about weapons of mass destruction. It's been proven since over and over again that they was there. The chemical weapons were there. Now they're over in Syria.
Yeah.
Still got the Iraqi labels on them.
Yeah.
You know. So, you know, people, the other side still claims that George Bush lied about that, and that one didn't even directly affect everybody in the country. It affected people, military and their families.
Right.
But technically, you can say, you know, that no, not everybody had to actually.
That's like one of the first ones they throw up about George W. Bush. He lied about those weapons.
But this is about you and your doctor. Where it's like, no, you can't go and see this guy.
You determining for yourself what physician truly is best for you. That decision is no longer yours to make as a free American. Your liberty to your, let's see, what was it?
Well, see, all these people out there that don't have a doctor, to those folks, you know, think about it, folks. Think about it. It ain't all about you. Think about you know, because there's a whole lot of people who do like their doctor, and I can tell you, man, there's some of them care and some of them don't. Some of them care about you.
Man, look, these days, finding a doctor that you can, you know, put your trust in, that's going to listen to you every time you come in, that knows what's going on in your life.
The one who knows about all your medical conditions because he's treated you for all of them. You know, that kind of thing, you know, you can't see them.
You can't see this guy anymore. Nope. You've got to go see somebody who, you know, has like the worst bedside manner that there is. He don't know you from Adam's house cat. As far as he's concerned, you're faking it, and he just don't have time to babysit you anymore. You know, that's what you can end up with. There's, you know, in every town, there's like one doctor, at least one doctor, that everybody you know that's ever been to him is like, man, don't go to Dr. Such and Such, because, man, that he killed my grandma. You know what I'm talking about? There's always that one doctor. Well, just suppose that that's the doctor that they put you with, because he's the only one that will accept, you know, your insurance. Because all the other insurance companies that were in your state have had to close up shop.
Or what if he just happens to be the doctor that you've already seen before and you didn't like?
Yeah. See, and there's
and there's a personality clash. What if the only doctor you can see is the one whose wife you cheated on?
Oh, Lord, have mercy now.
You know, I mean, you know, and you don't get to go pick another.
In this town, that could happen.
You know, you don't want to go and see that guy. Whether he's a good doctor, bad doctor, don't matter. You know,
Man.
This is all about having your choices taken away from you.
And look.
And this is an intimate choice. Ladies, what if this is your gyno that we're talking about here?
Oh.
Because let's face it, us guys, we got a lower tolerance or we got a higher tolerance for personality differences. Okay,
right.
You know, but
Gosh,
we
this is almost like a war on women.
We don't. No.
Gosh, you know, Obamacare.
No, man, they'll pay for your birth control, and if that fails, they'll pay for your abortion. But
but still. You know, I know my wife is very particular about who she goes to see.
Well,
for those types of problems.
Every woman that I know will tell you there aren't enough good gyne, or that's a
Obama,
comfort
you
level.
done stepped in it now.
You got to have a certain, women want a certain level of trust there.
And this issue has not hit enough of them. A lot of those women who have declared that, those mean, nasty old Republicans were really out to get women all along. Just wait till, the law that their beloved Savior has forced upon them really starts to take effect, and they can't go see their gynecologist anymore.
In a lot of cases, their gynecologist is now going to be running a bakery.
Yeah.
They're going to take the money that they've invested as a physician and go, you know what, I'm not doing this. And they'll
Obama better go work for the UN when he gets finished with his presidency, because he ain't going to be, when women get a hold of him, wow.
Well,
wow. He better get in another country quick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all right, dude. We are at the end of the rainbow here.
Already?
Yeah. Time flies when you're talking doom.
Doom, oh, dude.
I mean, doing this is really starting to get depressing to me, man. I don't mind telling you. It was really exciting there around election time.
What,
man?
We
had a lot that we could get the blood pumping with, but after this last election, it's only gotten more and more depressing as this.
You know what we're going to have to start doing?
What?
I think we're
some kittens or something.
No, I think that we're going to have to start having some guests on the show.
Go to therapy?
No, some guests on this show who are doing something about this nasty situation that we're in, because we're going to have to do that just to make me and you feel better.
Somebody got to be doing something.
Exactly. So
come on now. This is getting downright. I mean, this is getting scary. I don't know whether to be depressed or scared or what, man. Because this things are getting really, really bad. I mean, when our Constitution is not worth the paper it's printed on, wow, that only tells me that some really interesting times are ahead. And you know how the Chinese, what they got to say about
we don't like the interesting times very
that's
much,
a curse.
do we? Yeah, that's actually not a good thing. I would love to be bored with politics. Unfortunately, they're just too tragic.
Can't we just go back to doing comedy and go back to a state of ignorant bliss?
If I could just get some bacon.
Hey, you know what? I know where you can.
Bacon?
I know where you can get some good bacon.
Some gourmet
bacon now.
I want some gourmet bacon.
Look, what you do, you go over there to our website. You look on the sponsors page there, and there's this little ad talking about bacon is meat candy.
You're talking about baconfreak.com.
Baconfreak.com, man. Oh, my God.
But, man,
they got bacon-flavored pancakes on there.
Well, that's what I want.
They got bacon-flavored coffee. They ain't just got gourmet bacon, some of the best bacon that make you slap somebody bacon. They ain't just got that. They got bacon products. They got bacon jelly. Man, come on, look, wives, if you love your husband, you'll get him some bacon.
And likewise, husbands, if you love your wife, you'll get her some bacon. But hey, man, if you don't love her, don't get her no bacon.
If you don't love her, leave her, just let her eat some sausage or something. But just saying, if you love your spouse, you'll go to baconfreak.com and check them out.
Well, what if I wanted some food that would keep for a long time and would be quick, easy to prepare, freeze-dried meals? Because
dude.
Times are tough.
Look, I was watching that movie Twister yesterday. Remember that movie about the tornado?
Yeah, cow.
And in the movie, the tornado goes through this little town, and it starts wiping everybody's house out, and Helen Hunt and all that, and they walking around, all these people that their house has been blown away. I heard somebody in the background saying, what are we going to do for food? As soon as she said that, no kidding, I was like, she should have went to myfoodstorage.com.
Yeah, if she'd gone to Honest Answer Radio and looked on the sponsors page, she would have found myfoodstorage.com.
She could have had again, we're back to gourmet food here.
Mm-hmm.
She could have had some 5-cheese lasagna.
She could have stuck them in her storm shelter and been sitting down there while that tornado was blowing everything else away. She could have been sitting down there eating some. How many cheeses?
5 cheese.
Now
and
look.
lasagna.
Now 3 cheese.
She could have been eating some awesome. Like astronauts used to have like the freeze dried fruit.
Oh yeah.
And when we was kids, we would get that. We would think we was we was somebody when we had that. She could have had that all. I'm talking like. All of it she could eat. Man.
You're talking like freeze-dried apples to like you could make a pie with, just add water to it.
Strawberries even. Man, I'm telling you, myfoodstorage.com, they got you. They can figure out how much food you'll need to eat, 3 meals a day for, say, up to a month or even up to a year. Depending on, you can figure it out for yourself. They'll tailor it to you. And if you go there by our website, going through our sponsors page, man,
you get a deal.
You get a deal. Same thing with baconfreak.com. If you go through our page, you get it, a good deal on the stuff. And with My Food Storage, going there by our website for the month of December, man, they're giving you the hookup on some shipping, for real.
Yep.
myfoodstorage.com. But that's not all that we got on our sponsors page. We can even look out for your identity.
That's right, because if you go to the sponsors page on honestanswerradio.com, you will see the ad for LifeLock. LifeLock is the #1 most trusted name in identity security. These folks, I think they wrote the book on it.
They handle all the big boys. Most of the celebrities, because people are trying to get their identities all the time because they got big bucks in their bank accounts. And people would...
Look, I don't care.
Like
I don't care if you've only.
Right
I don't care if you've only got $35 in your bank account.
It ain't just about your bank account.
Yeah, that your credit card. Somebody can be buying something in your name all the way across the world.
Or they could be getting a passport with your Social Security number on it. But if you got LifeLock.com looking out for you, they will call you and ask you, is this you over here in Guadalajara? And you say, well, no, I'm sitting in El Paso. And they'll be like, oh, well, okay, then we'll put a stop to this right now. That's what they're for. And going there through our website, you get at least I think you get the first month on them?
I believe so.
And again, they've got...
It's a deal.
Got a plan to fit whatever you can afford. They've got a plan for you.
But you only get the plan if you go only get the deal if you go through honestanswerradio.com sponsor page.
And look, if you're trying to quit smoking, we got the hookup for you there too. V2cigs.com.
The #1
electronic
cigarette.
The #1 here on Honest Answer Radio. We're only going to offer you the best in the business. And V2 Cigs, if you look up electronic cigarette reviews, you're going to find V2 Cig at the top every time. If you're trying to quit smoking and the patches and the gum and all of that stuff, it ain't working for you, the Chantix just made you crazy, hey man, I cannot stress enough how easy it is to walk away when you've got the electronic cigarette from V2 Cigs. They've got different flavors that you can try. They've got cherry, vanilla. They got tobacco flavors. They got a menthol. They got you. Give them a chance. Don't cheat yourself. Treat yourself. V2cig.com. And you know what? If you've been surfing the net and you're trying to find your sports fix and you're tired of the ESPN stuff and you just wanting a real neat take on sports, dude, we got you.
SportsWorldRadio.com. You find that by going to the channels portion of the page. Hover your mouse over the word channels, and you will see the Sports World Radio channel. Click on that, and Jeff and Sean will take you on the fastest hour of sports on the internet.
And
On the internet?
Around the internet? I don't know. But I do know that Jeff and Sean, they got all the some of the info that maybe ESPN ain't even heard yet. and they will bring it to you. Sports World Radio. And look, Casey was talking about it being trying times. These are the times that try men's souls. Right now, we're living them.
And you need to take care of your soul. And a very good way to do that is to go to hover your little mouse over the channels portion of HonestAnswerRadio.com, and you will see Challenge from the Heart.
Pastor Rick Hope.
From First Baptist Church in Lillian, Texas.
Hey, man, if you don't know Jesus, Pastor Rick can introduce you.
If you do know Jesus and you just like to talk about it, or if you just, well, if you want to spend an hour in probably the best way possible, spend that hour with Pastor Rick, because number one, he's a nice guy and he's funny.
I have a feeling that when I leave this world and I go enter into the pearly gates, that when I first meet Jesus, he's going to say, you know, if it wasn't for Rick Hope, me and you wouldn't be talking right now. And I'm going to have to go, yeah, I know. Well, you just make sure you go tell Rick thanks. He's standing over there. You go tell him thank you right now. I'm telling you, Challenge from the Heart is...
You had your phone on. You had your phone on in the show.
I did. I'm sorry. I committed to professional.
You're that dude.
Right here at the end of things. But at any rate, also can't forget our good buddies over at Going Beyond Radio.
That's right.
They have got Honest Answer Radio streaming on, God, how many different platforms? There's just too many to name. But if you want to get the Honest Answer, you on the Roku,
Shoutcast,
the Blueberry,
iTunes,
Blackberry, I don't know, all the berries tuned in. Look, Going Beyond Radio don't just have Honest Answer Radio. They've also got all kind of other shows you can check out. They've got some really good paranormal shows. We talk about them a lot because, man, that's some freaky stuff.
They got some progressives.
They do. If progressive radio is more your cup of tea, well, then Going Beyond Radio's got you covered there, too. Well, all right, dude. This is only Tuesday, which means we'll be back again on Thursday, and I'm almost too depressed to find out what we're going to be talking about then. But I'm sure it'll be something that'll either depress you or have your blood boiling or make you want to get out and go do something. All right?
All right.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys on Thursday. Be good.
Good night, y'all.